Alright, welcome back to the channel. This will be a very different video as compared to what you're used to. I'm going to try and be a bit more sensible, a bit more respectful, because this will be part of a new series where players I coached will share some games post-session, and then we'll break it down to see how they've improved, what they need improvement on, and if there's any other general tips that I can give them. Each video will be tailored around that player specifically. If you are interested in coaching, please do reach out to me via Twitter. It will link in the description. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Link in the description. But yeah, so Voltgeist here is a decent player. He plays pretty well, but one of his main issues was the fact that he wouldn't split lane at all before the session. Another big thing he used to do was give a lot of value to the opponent via spells, via troops, you know, like for example Mega Knight, or like giving building value quite a lot. Obviously, because this is tailored to that player specifically, I'm going to try and make it helpful enough so that it helps all of you guys alongside Voltgeist himself. What I mean by that is I'll like include graphics, include placements. It'll be a bit more like in-depth as compared to what the videos I typically upload will be. So yeah, let's just get right into it because there's a lot to cover. So the first game will be up against James. James here is playing Pekka, Witch, fucking Fireball, I don't know, some bullshit mid-ladder deck. So let's talk about what Voltgeist does here and how he could obviously improve in this game. He goes for a Ghost in the bag first play here. I always recommend going Ghost or Bandit first play. If you have the choice between both, then opt for Ghost. So he goes for a Ghost, the opponent goes Pekka, and then Voltgeist goes for a Marcher here. So I'm going to pause right here, and I want you guys to try and figure out why that Marcher actually wasn't as bad as it may look. Because yes, I talked about giving the opponent value and why that's a big mistake. But in this instance, I want you guys to try and figure out why, in hindsight, it's not actually as bad as it looks. I'm going to give it a couple seconds. Okay, so what you need to realize is that, I'm going to start the video now. So what you need to realize is that because you have the E-Wiz and the Battle Ram, no matter what he plays, obviously to some extent, right? Obviously if he pulls out some fucking RG or something, but no matter what he plays, you can pretty much defend anything he plays alongside the Pekka. And that's exactly what he does by going E-Wiz low and then Fireball zapping the Witch. I would have liked to see a zap a bit earlier, so if you are watching this, bro, I would have liked to see the zap a bit earlier. But apart from that, like, super well played, super smart. And know that you can pretty much get away with that Magic Archer super early on because you have the ability to block those Pekkas. Even in the case of a mirror matchup, had that been a mirror matchup, you can just go E-Wiz pretty low and then Battle Ram block the Pekka, and it shuts down whatever counter push he had in mind. Again, goes to the bag, pretty smart, cycles back to another Evo, Bandit, whatever. He fireballs the Bandit here, and why this is good is because Voltgeist realizes that he's just wasted the only counter to the Magic Archer and then plays his Magic Archer. Now, here he does go for a Battle Ram at the bridge, and why I don't like this is, again, giving value to your opponents. And in this case, you don't get anything for it because the Magic Archer is dead, gets no damage on the tower, and the Battle Ram is also dead because it does hardly any damage to make up for the fact that your Battle Ram is dead. He goes for a Pekka on the Pekka, super smart, like nothing inherently poor about this, and then zaps the bats, again, nothing inherently bad about this. But the reason why I'm not a fan of the zap and instead would have opted for an E-Wiz is because, as you can see now, this Evo Witch is going to be a slight problem. And what a Pekka that should be breaking through really doesn't, because the Evo Witch completely melts the living hell out of that Pekka. Also, if you couldn't tell, my lip is red because I cut it while shaving for this video. So yeah, you people are going to have to deal with that. So as the game goes on, so this is a big problem, so let's talk about this. He E-Wiz is on top of these bats and the firecracker and stuff. And yes, it wasn't the best. Yes, it wasn't the worst. It was just one of those plays. I think I would have liked to see a zap or fireball instead, because the E-Wiz just essentially dies for nothing. This fireball Magic Archer lineup was absolutely phenomenal. You people need to take notes. That's really smart. In this case, because he doesn't have the Evo, it does work. If he did have the Evo, then it wouldn't be so good. I'm going to pause the video again right here. So, as I said, like, yes, the Evo. If he had the Evo, then that play wouldn't have worked, but whatever. He goes for a Bandit at the bridge here right now. And I want you guys to try and figure out why this is good and why this is bad. There's points to make on both sides. I'm not going to tell you what side I lean on before you guys try and figure it out. Try and think a bit bigger in the sense, you know, a bit more in the sense about why he's just made that play, and the fact that he also zapped at the same time. Okay, some Sakazara. Anyway, let's talk about it. So, this Magic Archer has lined up on the tower. Right now, every shot it does will go towards the tower. Because of the previous damage it's already done towards that Pekka, by the time it reaches your side of the arena, it will be essentially like dead. You know, just treat it as a paperweight in that sense. Now, by going Bandit here, what you've done is give your Magic Archer more time to get more chip damage on that tower. And again, really smart play, because the opponent didn't opt to go Fireball on defense. Why? Because I guess he thought that the Pekka would be able to counter it and would only get like 1 or 2 hits. Now, this Bandit, what it does is not let his opponent react to the fact that he wasn't expecting the Bandit. So, what I mean by that is, had he gone for a Fireball super late, it wouldn't do anything, and the Magic Archer will still get the same amount of damage, if not more. More? I don't know. It'll do a fair bit. Now, why this Magic Archer was bad is because only one real reason, nothing to think about here, is you give the Pekka too much value. Now, because you can get away with it, the only reason why you can get away with it this time is because you have your Pekka on defense, just in case he plays something at the bridge. Anyway, we'll start the game again, sorry. So he goes Pekka the back, again, because the Pekka is essentially dead. Pekka the back is a beautiful play. Going Zap on those bats is going to be a problem, as you can see, he just goes for his Evo Witch. The reason why that's a problem is now you don't have the Fireball Zap for the Evo Witch. So defending and breaking through at the same time is going to be a bit tricky. He goes for a Fireball to melt down that Pekka, but then as you can see, the Witch completely just heals itself back up. The Zap also does the same thing, where it just heals the Witch up completely. And so this defense is going to be a bit annoying. Anyway, nothing too inherently poor about this gameplay so far. The opponent goes for a very strange Witch, but it doesn't really matter. Voltgeist has it covered by going for a Magic Archer low. Even if the opponent had opted for a Pekka the bridge, then the lineup on the Witch would be super good, because it would kill the Witch. Good Fireball timing. Obviously, you cannot predict he would go for an Evo Firecracker at the bridge. I'd keep it in mind for sure, but I wouldn't predict it because it's a bit risky. He goes for a really awkward Fireball here, and luckily he manages to clip the Battle Ram. Obviously, like, Voltgeist wasn't expecting it, I wasn't expecting it, and he does. And he wins either way because the Pekka tanks for the Evo Battle Ram. Now, what are some key takeaway points we can get from this game? 1, understand that your Magic Archer is such an ally in this matchup, because he doesn't really have... Well, he does have a counter, right? But what I mean by he doesn't have a counter is, if, obviously in some instances he did play Fireball, but you'd notice that in a lot of this entire game, he really didn't enjoy Fireball and Magic Archers, and he didn't opt for them. And so you're able to just get a lot of value out of a card that on paper wouldn't get any value at all. Another key takeaway is that Magic Archer lineups are your best friend, always. Keep that in mind, depending on the matchup, obviously. But Magic Archer lineups are your best friend if you can get them, and if you can keep them, take it. One more key takeaway points we can get from this video is that you want to save your counters. You want to save, cards for their biggest counters to your deck. And what I mean by that is, yes, bats are annoying. Yes, bats are a counter to the deck, but it's not a major counter. What I mean by that is Witch, Pekka, and Firecracker are the 3 major counters. And so you want to keep cards that counter those counters, like by spells, through Pekkas, through E-Wizzes. And you want to keep those on the board and alive for as long as possible. So by zapping bats, you lose the counter to the Witch, being your zap and Fireball. Anyway, let's get right into the next game against... I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Kas Krochet or something. I'm not... Goedemorgen, if you're watching this, bro. I don't really speak that much Dutch, unfortunately. The opponent opts for a Dark Goblin at the bridge here. Super weird play. I'm not a fan, but it doesn't really matter. He goes for a Rascals. Again, just really strange play. Like, he's not playing that well, in my opinion. E was low, really smart. And here, he goes for a Bandit on top. I'm going to pause it right here, and I want you guys to try and figure out why the Bandit here was pretty bad. Give it a couple seconds. Okay. So, the Bandit was a really good play, but the placement was really bad. So, again, I mentioned this. he has a problem with placements. Why it's bad on top instead of somewhere else is because in between that waiting period for the bandit to activate, or whatever the hell you call it, these rascal girls and the rascal boy will melt down that bandit health before it's even able to take out one rascal girl, as you can see. Where would have been a better placement would be like right there, because it's able to dash onto the rascal girls, giving you just a bit more value on defense. Anyway, it's not the end of the world. Game goes on. So he goes for a ghost on to counter the Ewiz, which again, not a bad play at all. And here he doubles down with a massive push of being the Skelly Barrel and the Warbreakers. So I'm going to pause the video again here. I want you guys to try and figure out why. As you can see, let me just quickly play a bit more. He goes for a Fireball and a Magic Archer on defense. So I want you guys to try and figure out why that was actually the most optimum play in that case. Okay, let's talk about it now. So, yes, you can go Magic Archer where he went Magic Archer first. Yes, you can wait till you maybe get away with a Zap or something. But those Warbreakers are such an issue. Now, on the board currently it's 8 Elixir, which means you technically on paper have 8 Elixir to spend on defense. While not optimum, you can get away with it. Now, the Fireball here was pretty smart. And then the Magic Archer after was also pretty smart. I would have liked to see a Zap instead of the Magic Archer, maybe to save some Elixir and then take a few Ghost hits. Now, obviously it is personal preference to you, it depends on your playstyle. Me, I like to play a bit more aggressively with my Magic Archers, and by playing Magic Archer low, you aren't able to do that. Another thing I like to do is save my Magic Archers to get a bit more value out of them. And so yes, you can kill the skeletons and stuff, but the ghost is essentially dead anyway, so it doesn't really do as much as you need it to. But either way, again, I'm not saying it's a bad play, I'm just saying what I would have opted to go for instead. Some Pekka players who are better than me would go for, Magic Archer. Some Pekka players who are better than me would also go for Zap. So again, it doesn't really matter. This Basram Ghost, I like the idea, but I don't like the execution. Because yes, he's trying to predict the bomb tower in the middle, but it doesn't really work out, as you can see. Anyway. The opponent's BMing here, like he's pissing me off, bro. I don't know why he's doing this. Again, this is what I mean by placements. So he goes for a Zap and Ewiz, but had he timed it just a bit better, he wouldn't have taken any damage at all. So I guess your plays aren't really bad, but you're just playing a bit slowly for my liking. I think if you'd opted for a bit quicker defenses and stuff, you'd get away with a bit more. Anyway. This Skeleton Barrel by the opponent was really good, and the Magic Archer by Voltgeist was also really good, because that's the only placement, or in my opinion, the best placement to deal with these Skeleton Barrels. Okay, let's talk about this. I'm going to pause it right here again. So, he's just gone for a Bomb Tower on the Magic Archer, and Voltgeist opted to go Pekka here. Now, I want you guys to try and think about why this Pekka works, because this is a fundamental concept that will apply to whatever deck you play. It could be fucking Hog Rider, it could be Expo, it could be Graveyard. This is a concept I want you people to understand, because this doesn't just apply to bridge spam in general. So I'm going to give you guys some moments to think about it. Okay, so this Magic Archer here, let's not even talk about the Magic Archer, let's pretend the Magic Archer wasn't there. This Bomb Tower is a really big commitment by the opponent. It's the opponent saying, okay, I'm happy with the damage I've done to your tower, and I'm prepared to just reset and see what you have to play. And I don't want to play any of my cards because I don't want you to get value. Now, this Bomb Tower is giving me value. How is it doing that? Because it's a building it's a building that you want to play on defense, not just to idle. And what he's doing by playing it idling is letting it die before even getting a single hit on a single card of mine. Now, why that's important? Because, yes, on paper he thought it would maybe counter the Magic Archer. But had he played it lower or whatever, it doesn't matter. Because the same principle applies. This Bomb Tower gets no value. Like the value it gets, even if it killed the Magic Archer, would be negligent. Because he's not able to do anything against the Pekka push that's about to follow. Because A bomb tower is so essential to stop your battle rams, get splash damage on the ghosts, get splash damage on the Pekka push, etc, etc. And he's killed his only splash card to defend the big Pekka push. So Voltgeist realizing this goes Pekka back. Super smart Pekka. Again, this is like a higher level Pekka as compared to like most Pekka players. Now, as you can see, the Magic Archer doesn't live. Does live, and he's forced to go Barb Barrel on it, which again gives you even more value. So this is like a great opportunity to break through. He goes for a ghost or bandit on the Dark Goblin, and then battle ram behind. Again, really smart. Nothing really bad about this at all. He goes for a fireball on the Rascal Girls and the Evo Ghost. Again, really smart. Again, this is like the only problem. I'm going to pause it right here. So everything about this entire sequence has been absolutely flawless. There's not been a single mistake at all. But by going Evo Ghost into a bomb tower, you're just giving him value. And this is what I mean by giving value through any means. And so this entire push, had he gone for an Evo Ghost opposite lane, it would have been a bit better. Or had he gone for maybe a Zap or Magic Archer low, it would have been a bit better. The reason why I say, Magic Archer or E was low is because it resets the board. And it means that he can't really punish by spamming your left-hand tower. Anyway, it's fine. Ewiz on top of the Dark Goblin is not a bad play either. I've got nothing against it. This Magic Archer in the middle, I would have liked to see there instead. Again, nothing too big. Just placement issue rather than a skill issue. The Bandit was a big problem though, and as you can see why. Because it dies and he's forced to go Zap also. Nothing too inherently poor about so far, I guess. This is a great opportunity to fireball in defense, but instead he opts for a Ewiz. I'm going to pause it again here. The reason why fireball is better is because, as you can see, wait, let me just play it slightly. Ewiz dies to the ghost and to the splash of the ghost and the skeletons. Why fireball is better is because, yes, the ghost will probably end up dying anyway, but you'll have an Ewiz that will be alive, and you can use it to defend his next push. So yeah. The Evo Batram again doesn't really make much sense because he has a bomb tower. I'd much rather keep that for a Pekka push because it's a bit more annoying behind a Pekka than it is just naked against this matchup anyway. Great fireball by him. He's able to get a lot of value out of that fireball through the Dark Goblin and the Rascal Girls. The opponent opts for a really awkward Vines plus Ghost at the bridge. Again, not really good at all. And so Voltgeist understands this and goes Pekka back. Again, really smart. Nothing bad about that play at all. I think the opponent misclicked there with the Skeleton Barrel. I think he wanted to go for a Barb Barrel, but again, I'm not too sure. The Bandit here was a bit of an overcommit because the Pekka plus Magic Archer will be able to deal with it, but it's fine. I'm going to pause it right here. So, you see the value with the Rascal Girls and the Bomb Tower. Now, what does Voltgeist do? He's patient. He waits. And luckily, to his blessing, he gets it. So I'm going to play the game again, and he gets it with the Dark Goblin. So again, patience is sometimes better than just being super aggressive with your spells. Anyway, nothing inherently bad about this gameplay so far. This entire sequence was fine for him. This Ewiz was also really smart because it lets your Magic Archer live, so it kills the skeleton and the ghouls. Again, nothing terrible so far. This fireball on the Dark Goblin is really smart because the Dark Goblin is going to be a serious problem, and so by protecting it, by protecting your Magic Archer, you're able to keep some more pressure on the board. Pekka the Bridge again, really smart. Everything about this whole sequence is smart. However, I would have liked to see that Magic Archer earlier just be played a bit lower. Again, better placements is a big deal in this matchup. Keeping that Magic Archer alive would give him a bit more value. Anyway, Magic Archer in the middle, not a bad play. I guess he wanted some chip damage on the tower. Here it gets super close. So, the opponent goes Vines on the tower. He goes for a Ghost on defense. Smart Ghost. Goes for a Batteram as well to tank everything. I really don't know why he didn't see the Zap, which is really sad. He would have won this game. Some key takeaway points from this replay. 1. Be very mindful about where you play things. This applies to everyone who's watching. Obviously, not just you, my friend, but everyone. Please be mindful about where you place things. Try and think more longer term. 2. Try and be very careful how you give value to your opponent. Yes, sometimes it's okay to give value under the disguise of a trap, but if you don't have that in mind, then it'll be better to be a bit more patient with how you play things. And 3, before you make something, before you make a big play like Pekka the back, a big commitment, understand why you're making it. Now, Voltgeist here does understand that, but some of you may not. So think about why you're doing this. Not just I'm doing it for the sake of doing it, but think about it more in the sense of, oh, I've just seen him play something that gives me value, so I go Pekka the back. Anyway, alright, so this is actually post-production. Me, if you couldn't tell, based on the fact that obviously it's daytime now, which is fucked. I'm currently editing this video. But first things first, I want to talk about the fact that these fucking pauses make my skin boil. I don't think you people understand how fucking annoying it is to make the text line up to my voice, then the voice line up to the gameplay, then the gameplay line up to all the points I make throughout the fucking content. Anyway, 2, I truly think this is like the best, most in-depth analysis of gameplay ever. This will truly explain everything down to like every individual point. Obviously, I hope you guys have been interacting with like the pausing and stuff, because I do want you to think about it before giving the answer, because that way you can actually like improve yourselves. If you don't, then whatever, like I guess you faggots don't want to improve at the game, I guess. 3, because this is obviously a new series, I don't really know how you people will respond to it. Do let me know if you like it, do let me know if you hate it, do let me know how I can improve. I'm doing my best. I'm currently trying to still think of a thumbnail in the process of editing this video, but because of like, I don't know what it was, I think my fucking headphone fucked up, like my earphones or something fucked up, but through like half of this my voice is just buzzing, so it's just static rather than actual like me talking about what's happening, and I cannot be bothered to re-record it because I'm lazy. So yeah, so this video is going to be cut a bit shorter than I would like. Obviously, like if you guys do want these shorter form videos anyway, do let me know if you think they're better, because I know all your attention spans are fucking cooked. You know, TikTok has ruined us all. So yeah, I guess if you do enjoy it, do let me know, and if you think I can improve this, do let me know. The bait deck, I don't know what it is with bait decks in this fucking game. It's a very similar matchup, but I believe it's actually hyper bait instead of like the Rascals bait. He does mess up the Ice Spirit Ghost, Ice Spirit Dark Goblin, but Poltergeist is prepared with the Ghost. Not a bad play at all. Here he goes for his Magic Archer, which I'm not a fan of. I would have liked to see a Zap on defense. The reason why is because Magic Archer can't counter the Wall Breakers, if you didn't know. I'd write that down somewhere, you know, get your notepads out and shit. The Bandit here, again, not a bad play. Nothing like too poor about any of this so far. Everything here is perfectly fine. He goes for a Zap. Again, not bad at all. Your main idea with this matchup is like trying to take as little damage in single, and especially trying to take as little damage in single in both lanes. So if you have to sacrifice a lane, do it. Don't be down on both of your lanes. Again, all this defense is fine. What I would have liked to see is a better Ewiz, and I'm gonna like pause it here. Had you played your Ewiz there, again like post production, then the Ewiz would be fully alive, and so this Ewiz is essentially dead. Again, better placements. The idea is fine. The execution needs a bit of work. Magic Archer, again, not a bad play. Like so far, there's nothing like too terrible about any of these plays so far. All of these ideas are correct. Bandit in front also, not terrible. Not a fan, but it's not terrible. I would have liked to see the Magic Archer just be ignored, because as you can see, I'm going to pause again. As you can see, his tower is like fully healthed, and so it's not on the left hand lane. If it was on the left hand lane, the Bandit was actually pretty smart, but because it wasn't the best. We'll play it again. So it's Ghost coming to the tower. He doesn't really have anything for this, so he's forced to eat this. Now, if he hadn't played that Bandit, then he would have been fine. Anyway, it's okay. Here he opts to leak a lot of elixir. I would have preferred for him to zap on defense. He doesn't do that, unfortunately, but it's okay. Again, I would have liked to see a zap on defense rather than the Pekka, but it's fine. He goes for a Batarang behind, which is really smart, and then Ewiz, so that the zap means that the Berserker is one hit. Again, keep that in mind, people. It's a good interaction to learn. The Ewiz does fully kill the Ghost, and so he does end up taking tower here, which is beautiful. And now he's just got to survive for another minute, which I believe he does with relative ease. He fireball zaps, again, like he's not taking risks. I've got nothing against that. You don't want to take risks in this matchup. Here, I want to pause it here. This Bandit was a good idea because he wanted to protect the Magic Archer, but had he just not played it, then the suspicious bush would have been lined up with the Magic Archer, and so it would be like, it would pop, right? So ups and downs. The Ghost, again, Evo Ghost on defense, beautiful, nothing bad about this. Going for the Marcher on defense is also pretty good. Again, I would really like to see him just zap those bushes a bit more, but he doesn't, but it's fine. He does zap again, it's fine. I would have liked to see a bit higher. Anyway, he does end up winning this game, so we're going to just skip over this. Some key takeaway points from that would be, I guess he played pretty well. And for the opponent, for the viewers out there, try and like follow along the same premise he did. Be very mindful about your magic archers. Be very mindful about your E-Wizzes. You only have 3 spells, being the E-Wiz, the Zap, and the Fireball. So you don't really want to play that too much. Sometimes it's okay to take a bit of damage on your tower. Let's get right into the next game against Ezra Banana. He is playing Recruits. Recruits will be a very popular deck this season. I might even have to make a specialized video around this deck. Luckily, most players with this deck will be trash. So, yes, on paper it's a bad matchup, but because a lot of these players suck, these matchups will totally be winnable. Anyway. Here he goes for a Pekka the back, which was actually pretty smart in my opinion, because he's just wasted a Fireball on the Magic Archer, and the Cage Goblin will be walking towards the tower. So again, not a bad Pekka at all. I've got nothing against it. I would have liked to see an E-Wiz instead of that Fireball. I think the Fireball was a bit of a mistake, because now that you saw the Flying Machine, you know for a fact it's Recruits. So, or Lava Hound obviously, but it's Recruits. So, the Zappies will just get way too much value on defense. And as you can see, he's got no counters to the Zappies. So, had he had his Fireball, had he kept it for now, and just gone E-Wiz high, he'd have an E-Wiz, a Pekka, and a Battle Ram, plus the Fireball and the Zappies. So, he'd take that entire tower out. Again, it's not a good play, it's not a bad play. I would have just liked to see that. The E-Wiz with the Ghost was really smart, but also he's taking a lot of damage now on the left-hand lane. You can't really do anything about it, but it's fine. As you can see, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, I do believe he makes a comeback towards the end of the game. So, he's up a bit of elixir. He doesn't really have a good play to make. Like, he doesn't have anything like he'd want to play, so he goes Pekka the back, I believe. Could be mistaken. Or he goes for a Bandit, I'm not too sure. He goes for a Bandit again, yeah. So, Bandit is not a bad play. Like, it forces out a Cage on defense. So, it's again not a bad play. I'd like to see Bandit the bridge, also, it's not a bad play. Against Recruits. He goes for a Batram, and this is actually like a pretty bad play. So, once I saw the Cage, I'd again opt to reset by going for another Pekka the back. It's not the end of the world. He does go for a Pekka here, so it's fine. This E-Wiz was really good, so this is something I want to pause and talk about. So this is something we talked about in our session, and this is also something now we get to show that he's learned from the session, that because you have a Pekka on your right-hand lane, you want to support cards with that. So always think like long-term. And so this E-Wiz walking towards the right lane is pretty good, because even though it might die, if it doesn't, then it'll walk and support the Pekka in the right-hand lane. Anyway, we'll play again. He defends this with relative ease. This Magic Archer low, again, super smart Magic Archer, because if he played it high, it would just die to the troops and it forces a Fireball. I would have liked to see the Bandit a bit lower, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And what I mean by lower is just a bit lower and to the left. So yeah. Pekka the back, again, pretty smart Pekka. He's saving his Evos for his Pekka push. So again, not a bad play at all. Here he goes immediate Fireball on the Zappies. I would have liked to see him wait a little bit, because maybe you can get a bit more value out of that Fireball. I know he did that earlier on in his game also against Bait. The Evo Batman in front was also pretty smart. Now this forces a big push with the, anyway, let me pause there. So he forces a big push with the Pekka and the E-Wiz. The Evo Ghost in the left-hand lane forces a Fireball on defense, and so this Magic Archer was really smart by him, because he knows that if he went Fireball on the Magic Archer, then the Evo Ghost would take his tower out, and if he goes Fireball on the Evo Ghost, then obviously the Magic Archer would live. So again, pretty smart Magic Archer. As I play, you can see he breaks through in the right-hand lane. Okay, so that is the end of today's video. But before ending it all, I do want to talk about some important things. One, I don't have a name for this series yet. As much as I've been trying to come up and brainstorm of ideas, I've been asking ChatGPT, I haven't seen anything that I really like. So in the comments, I would really appreciate it if you people can give me a name for this series. I'll obviously come up with some shit before uploading this video, but I don't really have like a cool ass name. This whole series is opted around teaching you people how to play Pekka on a lower level. What I mean by that is, obviously at the top level, all the matchups will be the same, all the players will be the same, the play styles will be the same, the overall like fundamentals of all the players will be the same. But like around mid ladder and lower ladder, all the players are different, everything is unique, everything is varying. There are so many differences in all the way that lower level players play, to the point where sometimes it's actually harder to play against lower players than it is top players, because top players are predictable, lower players aren't. So this series will be aiming towards teaching you people and also like helping the players themselves improve at the game. Before the session, as I mentioned, Voltergeist wouldn't split lane at all and he'd give a lot of value. But now he understands that he can use that to his advantage and give value, but then also set it up as a trap, which is something you'd see amongst, top 1000, top 100 players playing Pekka. Obviously, like the whole split lane thing, he's getting a lot more confident doing split lane pushes and thinking about it a lot more. And I also see that he goes fireball quite a lot more. And before the session, he wouldn't really do that as much. Like he was a bit too afraid to go fireball on offense, fireball on defense and stuff. So yeah, okay, I don't really know what else to think about, what else I was going to say, and I lost my train of thought and my storage keeps dying again. I've ranted about this so many times, I can't even bother to be pissed anymore. Peace.